in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this pet profile template for a pet sitting business. We're going to start in Google Sheets, rename your workbook so that you know what it's for, and then we're going to need 2 sheets for this example. The first sheet we're going to rename to pet profile, so you right click, rename pet profile. We're going to add a second sheet with the plus button, right click and rename to legend. Make sure you're on the pet profile, and we're going to add all of the information that we want to collect. Then we'll add formulas and format at the end. Now we're going to start adding our formulas. The name will be fill in the blank, so you'll leave that cell empty. The type will be a drop-down selection. There's a few ways you can do it in Google Sheets. We're going to do it via a list or from a range. So before we do the drop-down, we need to establish our list, and that's where the legend comes into play. So you'll click onto the legend tab, and we're going to add our first list, which is the type of animal. We'll go back to pet profile, and to add a drop-down list, you'll go to the top ribbon, click data, data validation. It'll open this new window on the right-hand side and click add rule. It'll automatically select the cell that you are in, and Google Sheets automatically sets it as a drop-down from a manual list, but we're going to change this to do drop-down from a range. And then we can select our range from the legend tab. Right now I have A1 to A7 selected. I recommend selecting additional rows. That way if you have more types later, you don't have to redo your formulas. It'll automatically update. So we're going to change it and go down to 30. Click OK. If you go back to pet profile, you'll see all of our options are there. If you want to include the header or not, that's up to you. I'm going to change it so it's not on there, but if we select dog, and then I'm going to go back to this rule, and so that I don't have the header of type, we're going to change it from A1 to A2. You can add additional options and it will automatically update. So we're going to add farm animal to the list, and if you go back to pet profile, it's automatically on there, so you don't have to change any of your formulas. I'm going to take that one off and we can keep going. Next is breed. Now I want the breed to be a dynamic drop-down, so I want it to be dependent on the type, so that when you select dog, different dog breeds will show, versus if you select cat, different cat breeds would show. In order to do this, we have to build a dynamic list to reference before we create the drop-down. So again, we're going to go to the legend, and this time we're going to take all of these options and we're going to create individual lists, and then we're going to create a dynamic list. So you can copy them, which is Control-C, and then if you go into the cell that you want to put them in, you're going to right click and do paste special and click transpose. This will change them from rows to columns, or vice versa if you have columns selected. And then we're going to add different breeds to each list. I looked them up ahead of time and am copying and pasting them so you don't have to watch me type the entire time. Now we're going to build our dynamic list, which is what the drop-down is going to reference. And we're going to do this via a index and match. Our reference is going to be all of our options. Again, I'm going to go down to row 30 so that if I add any options later, I don't have to rework the formula. Our row is going to be blank. Our column is where we're going to add in the match feature. The search key is going to come from the pet profile, and we're going to reference the drop-down list. The range is going to be our column categories, so we're going to select them. And search type is 0. Close out both brackets. hit enter, and you'll see that it populates based off of what is selected in the pet type. So right now it's on cat, and this matches the cat list. If we were to change this to other, it now matches the other list. And to add the drop down in the breed section, we're going to go through the same steps that we did for the type. So data validation, our window's already open over here. We're going to click add rule, drop down from range, and then we're going to select the range. Again, we're going to go down to 30. That way, if it's a large list, it'll show all of the options, and click OK and done. Go back to pet profile, dog. Now we have all of our dog options. If we switch to cat, we now have all of our cat options. We'll just make the column a little bigger so that we can see everything. Next is sex. Now for this one, I'll show you the other way to do a drop down. So again, data validation, we're over here, add new rule. This time we'll do the manual drop down. Male and female. Click done. Now the only downside to doing the manual drop down is that if you want to add additional options later, you have to go into the rule and do it there. It's not built off of a list, so it doesn't automatically populate. Now for age, we're going to calculate their age based off of their birthday. So we're going to add another field here for birthday, and we're going to give them a birthday of 4/15/2016. Now there are a few ways you could calculate age. You could do something like today minus birthday. That's going to give you the number of days between today's date and their birthday. Now you can divide it by 365 to get it in years. And then change the number of decimals so that it's a full number. Or what I like to do is show it in years and months. And in order to do that, the formula is a little different, but what you're going to do is the date if function, which will give you the difference between dates. Your start date is going to be their birthday. The end date is going to be today. And then the unit, we want years first, so we're going to put Y. And now you'll see it shows us 6 years. Before it had said 7 years, and the reason because of that is to do with rounding and how it calculates that. So that's why I like to add months as well. So to do that, we're going to add in some text and then do the same formula but for months. So first we're going to add the label of years. To do that, we're going to do an and sign, and then the text we want displayed is space years. That looks like that. And then we're going to add how many months. So we're going to do another and sign with a comma. Then we're going to add the months, which is going to be another and sign with the date if function. Similar to before, but we're going to do months. So this time we're going to do E8, comma, today, comma, and we just want months. We don't want total number of months, so we don't want the years included. We just want the outliers of months. So to do that, we're going to do YM. So it's going to ignore the years and just give us the months. Close your bracket. So it's 6 years and 11 months. And then we're going to add another text for the months. So we're just going to do another and sign with months. So there's 6 years and 11 months. And that's why before it said 7, because it was rounding up. versus originally when you look at just the years it rounded down because the full year hadn't been met yet, even though they're really close. So that's why I like to include both years and month. Now we're going to move down to the vet information. This is all going to be text information that they can type in, but we are going to do one fun thing and put in a hyperlink. So for this example, let's say they go to the local vet Basin Run Animal Hospital. So we're going to go ahead and put in their information. Then we're going to just do an internet search for them, find their website, go up to the URL, copy it with Control-C, go back to your sheet, select the cell. You could right-click and insert link, or the shortcut for that is Control-K. And then you can paste your link here, which is going to be Control-V. Hit apply. Now it's automatically connected to their URL. You can click it and it will open their website. And I'm just going to copy their contact information from there so that I have it readily available in case it's needed. For the personality information, we want these to be checkboxes. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the first few options over and insert checkboxes. So you'll just select the cells and do Control-X, which is cut, Control-V for paste, and then here we can add checkboxes, which is really easy in Google Sheets. You're just going to go up to the top ribbon and click Insert, Checkbox, and you're done. Now you could do that for each one or copy and paste it down, but the fastest way to do it is with autofill or flash fill, which is where you're going to hover over your cell in the bottom right hand corner until you get the black cross, and then you'll just drag it down and that will copy what's ever in the cell referenced and duplicate it in the other cells. For favorite toys and notes, we're going to leave those cells blank so that they can enter in any information that they would like. For feeding and medication, we're going to break this out into a few different categories. So first, I'm going to move the information down one cell, and we're going to put in some qualifiers here. So again, cut, paste, just so that we keep some separation between the categories. You can insert a row, which is right-click, insert. And then here we're going to add some qualifiers. So we're going to do the quantity and the type, and if they have medication. Quantity we're going to leave blank and it can be manually written in. For type, again, we're going to do a drop down, and this time we'll do it from a list as well. So we're going to go to our data validation window, click add rule, drop down from a manual options already selected, so we're going to keep that, and we're going to put 1 cup, scoop, 1 can. You can add additional options by clicking the add item. We're going to keep it to those 3 right now and click done. Same with before with the checkboxes, we want the same drop down in all 3 areas for morning, afternoon, and evening, so we're just going to autofill it down. And then for medication, we're going to leave this as, you can write in either yes or no, but we want to make sure that it really grabs your attention if they do put yes, so that we don't miss any medication. That's critical to a pet's health. So we're going to do conditional formatting to add a color to the cell if they say yes. In order to do that, you'll go up to the top ribbon and format, conditional formatting. You'll notice that your data validation window has changed to conditional format. Again, the cell you're in is auto-referenced, and then you can select what type of rule you want to apply to it. For this one, we're going to say text is exactly, and then type in your value or formula. This one's easy, it's just yes. And then you can pick what you want it to look like. For this one, we're going to do bright yellow so that it catches your attention, and click done. Again, autofill, they all say yes, but if I change it to no, it goes back to white. So this pet in particular gets a medication in the morning. Next up is stay information. Here the address is going to be blank and you'll just fill it in. Next is the start date. We're going to add a calendar feature. To do that, you'll go to the top ribbon, data validation, add rule, and this time we're going to change it from drop down to is valid date. Click done. When you double click into the box, it'll bring up a calendar and you can auto select your dates. So let's say we're going to watch them from the 31st to the 2nd. We're going to do the same thing for end date. So it's just a quick weekend visit, and we can determine the number of days and nights based off of the start and end date. So I'm going to move the end date over here. So again, select the cells, Control X, Control V, and then we're going to say how many days and how many nights. Now Excel treats dates like numbers, so we're going to start on the nights and then we'll format the days. So your nights is going to be your end date minus your start date. Hit enter. And then your days is going to be your nights plus 1. Next, we're going to review the pet's schedule. So this is going to be their bathroom breaks and medication, if they have any other activities like an obedience class or something like that that they need to go to. So first we're going to make an entry for each day for each day of your stay. So we're going to move our descriptors down a row, and then we're going to start with the first day. So this one will be equal to your start date. And then we want to capture their bathroom breaks, so we're going to put in some descriptors for that. And if they had medication. Again, we're going to use checkboxes. So you'll just click Insert, Checkbox, and then we'll flash fill it across the columns and down the rows. We're going to do the same thing for each day of the stay. So we're going to copy, Control C, and paste, Control V. Now you'll notice that this says false, so we're going to adjust our formula. This time we want it to be based off of the first day plus 1 day. And then this one's going to be based off of this day plus 1 day. Now we're going to get to formatting. So I like to have everything visible on one sheet without any scrolling. So I'm going to move the stay information to another column. And then I'm going to give every section a header so that it stands out a little bit. So we're going to have these be blue. And if you want, you can select multiple at a time by holding the Control button. And we're going to turn them all blue. Now we can format so our sheet is more appealing. First, I'm going to make all of the columns a uniform size. So to do that, I'm just going to select and drag over so that all of my columns are selected. Go up to the top, hover over until the arrows appear, and then we're going to make them all the same size, just so that it gives it a little more uniform look. Next, I want all of my headers to be centered. I could do a merge and center on all 4, but I want to add an extra feature at the end, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to undo, and instead I'm going to shift my text and just merge and center the middle 2 columns. So we're just going to select both, go up to the top ribbon and click merge cells, and then change your alignment to centered if it's not already. And we're just going to go through and do that for all of them. The other thing you can do is the paint formatter. So once you have the text where you want it, instead of clicking merge and center each time, you can click the paint format on the ribbon and then highlight it over where you want to paste that formatting essentially, and it'll reduce those two steps for you. Next, I'm going to add a border to each section to differentiate them. Go up to the top ribbon, select borders, and then you can pick what you want. I'm going to do outside border. For the notes, I'm going to add an extra section here so they can write additional notes. So I'm going to add in another row here. Right click, insert, and then add the border. And same for schedule. And I didn't have it before, but I'm going to add a notes section just so that it's there. Next, I'm going to add some lines for favorite toys and notes areas. That way they have a reference to write on. So we're going to do the same thing, borders, but this time we're just going to do the bottom border. And again, you can select that again, or you can click the paint format and it will apply it for you. We're just gonna and I'm just going to change these so that they're to the left and these ones are all centered. I'm going to center these as well. And I'm going to put breed. Again, we're going to cut, Control X, and put it here in the pet profile. And then I'm going to get rid of this row. I don't need it, and we need to reformat him just a little bit since he kept his border. So I'm going to take this border off really quick. And then to get rid of this, if I deleted this row, we would delete our information over here. So instead, we're going to select everything below where we want. And then we're going to cut, Control X, paste, Control V, just shift it up one. And then I'm going to re-add the outside border. So he's over there. And then finally, for the fun part, we're going to add emojis to our headers as well. So first we need our list of emojis. So we're going to go back to our legend tab, and I'm going to add a column next to type. So I'm just going to right click, insert one column to the left, and here I'm just going to put emoji, and then double click in your cell, right click and emoji, and then you can search and put whatever you want. I'm going to use the dog for dog. Once you have your emojis identified, we're going to add them with an if statement, and it's going to be multiple statements, so it's going to be if with an S, ifs. For the condition, we want our type, and if our type equals dog, we want the return value to be the dog emoji. I would click here, but I can't since our little helper is there, so I'll just type it out. It's going to be the legend sheet B2. Now he says NA right now, and that's because our type is cat, but if we change it to dog, there he is. Now, since there are multiple types, we'll need to write the same statement for each type. It's the same condition, but now we want it for cat. So we're going to select cat, and the return value would be the cat emoji, which is still hidden, but he is the legend sheet B3. And then you'll keep going for each emoji. And then you can check to make sure that each emoji is coming through properly. And let's say for the small animals, instead of a hamster, you want it to be a rabbit. And this is where sourcing from another list is helpful because you can change your original list and it'll automatically change it to any formulas that it's applied to. So instead of the hamster, we're going to do a rabbit. And it automatically changes it on the sheet. If we were to copy and paste this formula in our other areas, we get an NA error. And the reason for that is because it changes our reference points. In order to fix that, we need to use absolute values. So I'm going to go back and we're going to change everything to absolute values. To do that, you can click F4, or you can manually add the money sign to both the column reference and row reference. Now, if we copy our formula and paste into another area, it matches. So we're going to, before I add it to all of the other ones, I do want to format this cell, that way I don't have to reformat all of them. So I want him to be aligned to the right instead of to the left. Oops. And then I'm going to copy the formula to put into the other side, just so that I don't have to redo the borders.
And then I can copy him.
And then last but not least, I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. I'm going to select the entire sheet and go up to 11. And then for the headers, I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to control and select them all and make them 14. And I'm going to bold them. You can use the formatting ribbon or you can do Control B. And then I'm also going to add a bottom border just to the header section. So again, borders, and we're just going to do the bottom so they have a little more distinction to them. And you are all done. We'll update our information to match our examples. The last thing we're going to do is hide the grid lines. So to do that, you can go up to the top ribbon, View, Show, and then unclick grid lines. That way you'll just see the borders that we added. And if you want, you can keep it as an Excel sheet or you can always print it. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or have a suggestion for the next video, please leave it in the comments below.